Alley-oop to Steven Adams. Thunder taking game one, 116-108, Nick.
I didn't think they'd win this game, and they won this game going away. I know the Jazz made a run at the very, very end, but they were up, you just saw it, 18 points with 4 minutes left in this game.
Exciting game. Russ was able to defer to Melo a little bit. Melo showed up, good Melo, and Paul George was a beast.
Pacers and Cavs and Domantas Sabonis in transition all over Kevin Love. This one wasn't close. Pacers win it big, game one.
No, Nick, I'm not even going to call this getting dunked on because Kevin, he kind of scooted into him. Like, I'm not jumping.
And Sabonis throws it in the rim. Like, Sabonis doesn't even get there.
Sabonis had an awful game.
Yeah, that's terrible. Now, that's a dunk now.
Same game, Lance Stevenson glides through the lane, throwing it down.
Lance will make them dance. Lance and LeBron is always a fun thing to watch because Lance so badly wants it to be a rivalry.
Yeah, I know.
And LeBron won't let it.
That's Brooklyn style right there. Headbutting.
Was it Gus?
The bucket.
Gus Farrat? Was he the quarterback?
Yeah, he got concussed.
Yep.
That injured himself doing that. Lance
I had big takes on that one.
I'm sure you did. Listen, hey, Lance, man, you ain't got a bunch of brain cells to spare, man. Can't be doing that.
All right, hey, you guys hear what the Cowboys ended up doing with Des Bryant? Remember, after weeks of will they or won't they ask him to take a pay cut, because of his production cut the last few seasons, the Cowboys instead just let him go. Cowboys' all-time leader in touchdown receptions was none too pleased, as you'd imagine. Reportedly, the meeting between Jerry Jones and Des Bryant took just 20 minutes. Bryant said that the, quote, Jason Garrett guys were partially to blame for the Cowboys letting him go. But Des doesn't blame Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones, he loved me to death, and I love him too. I honestly believe in my heart, this was a hard decision for him, but when it's 5 or 6 guys at a table against one guy, you got to do it. This situation was very unfair to me, and I'll put it that way. It was an unfair situation, because if they did want to, get rid of me, they could have told me that. They could have told me that, and I would have respected that.
All right, Cece, what was your reaction to how everything went down? We discussed this ad nauseum the last couple of weeks, and one of the scenarios that I don't think we really discussed at all was that they were just going to let him go.
Well, I knew there was a walk-away point. I was surprised that they weren't able to negotiate because anytime, typically, when an owner sets up a meeting like that, you feel as if you're going to have some type of input. But the one thing, if I was in Dez's shoes, when Jerry came into the meeting by himself, I would have been alarmed. That would have set off an alarm with me. Hey, there's no one, the cap guy's not here. The general manager's not here, because if we are going to negotiate my salary down, there has to be some type of incentive package. I know Jerry Jones is not communicating that to the players. So to me, that right there, it sent off an alert. And then it also told me that it's obvious they don't want Des Bryant in the building at no salary. They picked now Des would say, oh, they could have done it sooner. They picked, the time to cut him that it was most penal for the team. Like, they could have waited until June. He could have been a post-June 1st cut, which they could have gotten salary cap relief. But it lets me know they didn't want him in the building. And whatever effect that he has on Dak, they don't believe that to be positive. So there was no negotiating. Like, I thought that they would come to a settlement. He would get some incentives so he could earn some of the money back, and he would stay in Dallas for 1 more year. So that part right there was surprising, that the Dallas Cowboys and their organization, that they totally gave up on Des Bryant.
The timing is what's baffling. Because you can cut a guy before June 1st and just designate him post June 1st, and then you can split the salary cap, the dead money hit. They're going to take the whole dead money this year. They evidently wanted to do that. But if you're going to cut him, what was the delay? Because the owner clearly has affection for Des Bryant. So for the player, it would have been better to be cut earlier when teams still have a lot of cap space. And for the Cowboys, do they maybe get, instead of in the Allen Hurns sweepstakes, in the Allen Robinson sweepstakes?
Well, in talking to someone who's close to the situation, they really wanted Sammy Watkins. That was their #1 choice, all right? They weren't able to land him. If they would have signed him, then they would have cut Dez. And they also, Allen Robinson, they were interested in his service. He ended up signing with Chicago. So I just believe the timing of it, their interest there, those guys going elsewhere, they had made up their mind that now was the time to do it.
The part that's just confusing about that is if you know, okay, we want Allen Robinson or Sammy Watkins, but if we don't get them, at least we have Dez. Then I understand holding on to him, but you didn't get them. And then you still cut him. So, like, they obviously would have cut him if they would have gotten one of those guys. If they cut him without getting one of those guys. The part of this that I don't think Dez, what I would guess is that a pay cut was at least floated earlier, not in this meeting, but earlier in the offseason to the agent, to Dez. And I texted you this. I was like, the agent went to the Nick Wright School of Negotiating, which was bleep you no. I dare you to cut me. And you've been saying for weeks, you do that, they might cut you.
You can do that in Major League Hockey. You can do that in baseball. You can do that in the NBA. You can't tell them to cut you in the NFL. Because the way the contracts are stipulated, they will walk away from it. I thought there would be a walk-away number from Dallas, but I didn't think they would get to that number.
How much of this is because of on-the-field stuff? I mean, there are rumors floating out there that he didn't have a great relationship, on-field relationship with Dak, that it just wasn't working, that chemistry, that he was resentful towards some of the captains on the team, some of the long-standing players that have been there for a while, that he had some issues with Jason Garrett. And then there's what he actually did on the field, because if it was just on the field stuff, then you're right. Why not give him an incentive package where he can make all the money by just getting out there and producing?
Well, I think there's just too many negatives. In this new NFL, you can't have 3 bad seasons the way Dez did. Typically, you have one bad season, you're a star player, they come to you and ask for some type of reduction. He had 3 of those bad seasons, so you have to calculate how much better is the player going to be. And to me, this is a team that's not built around them throwing the ball. It's built around that offensive line, which they've made a major investment in and will continue to make investments in extend the key components to that offensive line. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. So for me, this was a message that this team is being turned over to this younger team for the style for which they're going to play. And I believe that the emotional effect that Dez had on Dak on game day, it led to the decision with the Dallas deciding to release Dez.
I think that, well, that's that for some reason they believed there were what we would call non-football reasons, but reasons that do affect football. So it's not just production. It is about what Cece's alluding to, that they thought he had a negative effect either in the locker room or on the quarterback in particular, because otherwise moving on from him is perplexing, because I understand he has not lived up to his contract the last 3 years, but the Dallas Cowboys are worse today than they were Thursday. You are still better in 2018 with Dez Bryant than with ephemeral cap space that, like, there's not even a lot of good players left to sign. And the Cowboys, what's the window I talk about all the time? The best window, there's 2 categories in the NFL. Do you have a quarterback on a rookie pay scale? Do you not? They're going into year 3 of what will only be 4 years of Dak on this rookie pay scale. They just took at least a slight step backwards in the skill position area. They must have thought they could overcome that.
One of the huge things is if Dez ended up getting hurt in the offseason workouts, his whole salary would be guaranteed, and they would be stuck. So that's have to be, with Dez's injury history, you have to look at him getting hurt and his contract being guaranteed. I think that played the role in Dallas deciding to release him.
We will discuss this more, and we'll get into the Dak angle also in a little bit. But coming up, the late game last night, the Rockets. How did Chris Paul almost blow the game for Houston? Next on First Things First.